Hello, this is Connor Hallahan, and I am working on requirement 4A for Tenderfoot. And this is about how to treat simple cuts and scrapes. If they have a simple cut or scrape, which is just like a paper cut, or they skinned their knee and when they fell over, you should wash your hands so that you don't give them any germs, and wear latex-free gloves, or at least use hand sanitizer. And with the wound, you should clean it with soap and water. If you don't have soap, at least clean it with water. And after this, you should just put on some antibacterial cream, hydrocortisone, for example.
Not hydrocortisone.
Okay, I don't know what I'm saying anymore.
Neosporin.
Neosporin.
Yes, that's it.
I'm mixing up bug bites and things. I meant Neosporin, not hydrocortisone. And just put a Band-Aid over it, and you should clean it and change the Band-Aid daily.
Moving on to blisters on the hand or foot.
Blisters on the hand or foot, to prevent them, if you notice like a hot spot, like if it's friction and it hurts and it's warm, hot, really, warm's just a pre-indicator, but if it's hot, you should take a break to let it cool down, and just, I don't know, what would you do?
Put the moleskin on it, just a preventative measure.
Yeah, just put the moleskin on as a preventative measure. But if you actually get one, you shouldn't pop it, and you should just put some moleskin or mole foam on it as a preventative measure. And if you must pop it, like as in you have to keep going on with your activity, even if you do get a blister, you should pop it with a sterilized needle. You can sterilize it by heating it up over a match, or you could, I don't know, dip it in hand sanitizer.
How would you treat that site?
You would drain it so that it doesn't, get all over your sock, and also so that it can be...
You could have blister and crook your hand also, but anyway.
But if it pops naturally, you should just clean it out, and put a Band-Aid over it.
Can you explain nosebleeds?
Nosebleeds are quite simple. You lean them forward so that the blood doesn't get into their throat, and pinch it right below the bone. And,
for how long would you do that?
If 10 minutes, but if the bleeding continues after that, you should probably call.
Actually do for another 15, and then if it still continues.
Oh, I thought it was like for 15. No, if it's still bleeding, another 15 minutes, and if it's still bleeding, then you should probably call.
What other technique could you use that they suggested? They talked about a cold compress or cold pack to help.
Yeah, ice packs will help with this as well. So maybe try to pinch it with an ice pack. That's just a joke. But yeah, a cold compress or ice pack will help as well. If somebody has sunburn, you should get them out of the sun and treat the affected area with aloe vera and cool, damp cloths. Afterwards, just as preventative measures, you should wear sunscreen and protective clothing such as long sleeves. I am now going to do the frostbite section of 4A. Victims might complain about the affected area being numb or in pain, which is kind of opposites, but doesn't matter. And the skin might look gray or white instead. And when these symptoms show, you should move them to a warmer environment. And when you find the affected area, use the palm of your hand, if it's warm, to warm up the area so that the ice in the blood melts. And when there is no chance of it refreezing, put the affected area in warm water so that until normal color returns. You can also put a loose band-aid on it. Why again?
Just to protect the area.
Oh,
Just
yeah,
a loose
well,
bandage.
Yeah, just to protect the area. And once normal color returns, you should probably wait a bit until you go back outside. Now I'm going to talk to you about biting insects, such as ticks, spiders, chiggers, bees, and wasps. Chiggers is the most simple because after hikes and hikes in the woods where you can get chiggers, it's really just vigorously rubbing them to hopefully get them off before they, well, if they are on you. And ticks, it's just, they like to latch onto your skin, so the only really thing you can do is grab them as close to the mouth as possible and gently pull them out. Now, if you have a tick key, that can also help to remove them. And with both of these, if you find the wound site, clean it out. Spiders, it's really more of the same. Just washing the wound site after it, and Advil if it starts to hurt.
What was that last part?
Advil if it starts to hurt. And, but if they start to go into, but sometimes it's more severe, and if it is, treat for shock and call 911. And finally, there is bees and wasps. Normally, wasps bite unless you anger the bees, but it's not really important. And with these, the main thing that you have to do is get the stinger out, because the stinger will stay in, and you can get this out with a flat thing, such as a credit card or the flat end of a screwdriver. And you shouldn't squeeze it and try to pull it out, because that will put more venom into your skin. Wouldn't it be? No, yeah, this is venom.
And then, how do you treat it? Do you just...
Yeah, that's really how you treat it. Same thing, wash it out with soap and water.
Ice or anything?
Oh, yeah, fair point. If that's another way to reduce the pain, ice. I'm now going to do venomous snake bites. Venomous snake bites, as per usual, you should clean the wound site with soap and water and call 911 as fast as possible. And if the snake has bitten on your arm or on your leg, you should try to keep them as close to your heart as possible and tell them and help keep them calm, because and also make sure that the limb isn't moving that much with a loose brace, because if it's moving, then more blood is flowing, and if they aren't calm, the heart is pumping faster, spreading blood and spreading the poison. Always try to keep them calm and get them to medical attention as fast as possible. Don't try to take the poison out or cut the wound site, would it be? I don't remember.
Correct.
Yeah. And sometimes the poison will take up to an hour to go into effect. And the faster you can get them to medical attention, the faster is better, because then they can treat it better and it will be less treatment, I think, because the poison, and it will be easier for them because the poison hasn't spread as far.
But it does mention, it says treat for shock, but do not elevate the limb. So
And always treat for shock, because, well, obviously they will be shocked by them now having poison in their body that will probably kill them. So treat for... Yeah, don't say that to the victim. But you shouldn't elevate it as to make the blood flow, and you should always treat for shock, because if they are shocked, well, yeah.
Don't worry about shock. I mean, don't.
Just treat for shock, because shock. Yeah.
Talk more about that later.
Now I'm going to discuss choking. When someone is choking, they will probably have their hands around their neck like this, because that is the international sign for someone choking. Now, if they are choking, you should first ask someone to call 911 so that a first responder is there to help them if you are unable to. And then you should clarify that you are there to help and know first aid, and that you know first aid.
What might you hear?
Well, if there is air going through, you might hear coughing, wheezing, and a bit of talking, but probably not much because most of their windpipe is blocked. But if they can, it's probably just going to be high-pitched noises and not a lot of breathing. Like, I don't know how you would make it, honestly. I can't because I'm not joking right now.
Okay.
But first you would want to get around them and like, have your arm around them and do 5 heels thrusts to their in between their shoulder blades. As you can see, our fake victim is behind me.
So,
Do you want to do it now?
sure.
I'm here to help.
Okay. Oh. Okay.
And if it is not dislodged with 5, did you do 5 more? Or do you go to 5 more?
Yeah, you can move on to the Heimlich maneuver
And
if that doesn't work.
If 5 of those don't work, then you move on to the Heimlich maneuver, which, stand up, is, no, face the camera. You get behind them and...
A little higher. Okay. Okay. Alright.
You as you can see, it's very effective, as our grown adult here has made grunting noises and has, well, dislodged his food.
What if I passed out and went unconscious?
If they're unconscious, you put on gloves and look around in their mouth for the object
Finger.
with your finger.
Finger sweep.
Finger sweep? You just like...
Oh, there you go. I kind of hook your finger to grab anything.
You put your finger in there like a hook, and then you go around in their mouth, hoping to latch onto the food that is blocking stuff. And if you don't...
And you can do chest compression.
Yeah, and then if you don't, it's just chest compressions to dislodge it.
Hopefully. Emergency.
And if emergency is not back there by then you should probably move somewhere else where there is.
Cut!
I'm now going to do requirement 4B for Tenderfoot. Identify the different poisonous plants in our area and how to treat them. If you think you've been exposed, wash the wound area. And if you do have a allergic reaction, really the best thing you can do is calamine lotion and just let it take its course. And you can spot it because all 3 of them have 3 leaves at their edge. Poison ivy, you've probably seen before. It's green. It's kind of a darker green and has 3 leaves.
And that's shiny.
Yeah.
And
it's shiny. Poison oak is also shiny and has kind of serrated edges around it and is a little more rounded as well. Poison sumac, I mean, I had never seen it, but it is kind of lighter and grows on a stem. It's not really like a grows out of the plant stem thing. It has multiple things. Would it be like more of a bush?
Right. We'll trim that part of the video off.
Poison sumac is, well, how would you describe poison sumac?
I don't know.
It also has 3 leaves. It's a lighter green and is also serrated edges.
And when you're camping, how would you kind of avoid?
Just be careful and stay towards the center of the trail.
Just survey the area.
Mm-hmm. Survey the area and stay near the center of the trail. But stuff might grow in the center of the trail, so really just be careful and watch your step.
Basic.
Don't forget to watch out for allergic reactions.
For section 4C, tell what you can do while on a campout or other activity to prevent or reduce the occurrence of injuries or exposure listed above.
Well, really, it's just the 3 steps of being awareness, which is awareness, which is just being aware of what can cause these injuries. Know how to avoid what can cause it, and if all else fails, know the first aid to be able to treat the person who has been affected.